unifying the polarities, and within those primal sound fields by taking sound and the particle scalar units that are turned off, which is vibrating and turning part of them around and changing their polarity in relation to each other, light was created. Asia. Mechanics of manifestation. We have two polarized expressions of the original idea, one polarized in the male electrical direction and the other polarized in an equal opposite female magnetic direction. Two equal and opposite expressions of each other. These two polarized expressions come into manifestation and they interact. Interaction between these two polarities is effectively what weaves the whole structure of creation. The whole structure of creation emerges through the sequential interaction of this process. The two polarized units come into expression. Once they have manifested in expression, they then turn around, come back into the neutral core in source. If particle and antiparticle were to come together, to merge, they would annihilate each other. The original PKI unit, which manifests as PCM-PKA particles, holds the buffer field and the two particles merge back into this buffer field. In this buffer field the polarities are reintegrated in an orderly way. So the consciousness that is inherent to the structure is brought back in an orderly way in harmony, in coherence into the original neutral expression, and from there, the structure dissolves and consciousness returns directly to source. We have this process whereby structure comes into being. Part of this process is the dissolution of the structure where the consciousness is released and flows back to source. Thus, we have polarity as a natural part of the creative process. Polarity is a natural part of creation. It is only when polarity gets stuck, when the polarized units of consciousness cannot return to coherence, to harmony, that we have problems. Polarity in itself is natural, and it is when polarity can return to integrity and wholeness in source and return to full integrity in source, that creation is working in its natural way. Sequential phasing. The first PKI creates the primary structure from which all the rest of the structures in creation emerge. Now we have sequential phasing of the PKI units. The first PKI phases, projects polarized structures into manifestation and then returns to source with the sequential emergence of additional PKI phasing, which projects additional particles into manifestation. These particles phase sequentially and they phase in relationship to each other. So, we get the sequence of PKI units phasing, creating a flash line sequence. This flash line sequence in turn phases in relation to other flash lines and it creates PKI grids. These grids in turn phase in relation to other grids and they create more complex three-dimensional structures. Three dimensions are a key unit in the manifestation of creation. Therefore, we have a three-dimensional structure emerging from the PKI phasing units. Analogy for the process of PKI phasing. A very good example is a TV screen or computer screen. If you look very closely at a TV screen, you will see a sequence of dots on the screen and each dot has little pixels and these flash on and off in a sequence in relation to each other to create a line, and the lines flash on and off in sequence to create a picture. The sequential phasing of these units switching on and off creates a pattern. That pattern emerges on the screen as a picture on a TV screen. So a TV screen can project something like a football match or horse racing, a drama, and so on. So, this very simple process of the phasing of units, very small units phasing on the screen, the sequential patterns that emerge from that can create various realities. They can create various projected realities. They can create an infinite complexity of realities. We talk about the hologram, the projected reality that we see in the world around us. This is referred to as a hologram. A hologram is nothing more than a projected reality. It is these fundamental processes that create basic units, and it is the patterning of these units that creates the complexity of the projected realities that we perceive around us. Just as we have dots flashing on the screen creating very complex projected realities on TV screens, we have a very similar process at work in the world around us. We have this very fundamental level that is PKI phasing generating the patterns that we see in the external world around us. So we perceive the three-dimensional projected reality which is referred to as the hologram.